or blame the white nationalists or white supremacists that seem to be inciting at least some, if not the majority, of the violence down in Charlottesville. And the White House officials went so far as to try to clarify exactly what President Trump meant by that, by saying that he was simply referring to violence between protesters and counter-protesters that have taken place today. But still, President Trump taking a lot of heat for that omission from both Republicans and Democrats. One Republican in particular, Senator Cory Gardner, he said, quote, "Mr. President, we must call evil by its name. These were white supremacists, and this was domestic terrorism." Now, President Trump made these remarks at what was supposed to be a big bill signing ceremony for the Veterans Affairs Choice and Quality Employment Act. And don't forget the two major headlines that were dominating the day before all of this violence broke out in Charlottesville. President Trump saying that military options were on the table in Venezuela and continuing to talk tough to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
This man will not get away with what he's doing, believe me. If he does anything with respect to Guam or any place else that's an American territory or an American ally, he will truly regret it, and he will regret it fast.
So President Trump still in the midst of dealing with one of the most critical international crises so far of his presidency. He's also been taking a lot of questions about those comments that he made about Venezuela, catching even Pentagon officials by surprise. But of course, Laura, all of that now taking the back seat to what's happening in Charlottesville, Laura.
All right, Kristen Fisher-Forrest, thank you so much with that. And for more on the situation in Charlottesville, let's bring in Danny Colson. Now, he's a former Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI. Incredibly important to have your perspective today on this, Danny. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
This story has evolved very quickly today as we've watched this, rally turned riots event turned deadly with at least one person losing their life after being mowed down by a vehicle in the crowd. So I want to ask you to talk to us about the role of law enforcement when things get this out of control. How to begin to put your arms around the sporadic street fighting and violent clashes between the two sides. How is this approached by law enforcement, Danny?
Well, my business engages in this. We play public events that could potentially turn violent. And the way you do it, first of all, you have to understand this is a very emotionally charged issue on both sides. And you have to be prepared for that. And that preparation means you have overwhelming police presence to stop the violence as it starts. One of the things you can do, and you should do, is not allow anybody to have a permit to engage in a protest like this if they bring anything other than a cardboard poster. You don't allow them to have handles on their posters that really are clubs and bats and 2x4s so they can inflict a lot of injury. But also, I think we have to understand that traveling interstate to commit acts of violence or incite a riot is a federal offense. And I think we've been very lax in our country in looking at these protesters that go into areas. And I would bet you almost any amount of money that these people mostly are from out of town, maybe probably out of state. And that's a place the federal government has to get involved here. At one time in my career, we looked at these things and we prosecuted people who planned them, and that needs to be done here. But bottom line is overwhelming presence of police in full gear so that they can deal with any act of violence as it occurs. Some states even will have their officers come basically not equipped to handle a riot. And that's a mistake, too, because you want that ominous presence of an individual dressed in riot gear. That prevents violence. It doesn't intimidate those who want to protest peacefully, but it stops those who are there for nefarious purposes. And that's the only way to deal with it. Don't let it get out of control. And that's what happened here, I think.
Yeah, and this is an open carry state, and some of these people that showed up there were actually taking the poles off of their flags and then using that as a weapon. A friend of mine who has spent most of his life in law enforcement told me that, when you have this type of scenario unfolding as an officer, you have to walk the tightest line, protecting the constitutional rights to assemble, while protecting the public, even if you find either side offensive or vulgar. And in this case, in the state, you've got to protect the rights of those allowed to carry firearms to protest. So as we look at these images today, you've got to really hand it to all the members of law enforcement who were there, who've got these torch-wielding, at night, gun-toting people, some of which are ready to set off. It's important not to become part of the chaos in terms of involvement and engagement while maintaining order. That's a tight line to walk.
Oh, it's hard. It's very difficult for a police officer to do this. But, you do this by preparation. You have a charged issue, emotionally charged issue here, and you get ready for it. And you bring in, if you have to bring in the state police early or surrounding jurisdictions early, and wall-to-wall cops stops a lot of violence. And I think that's the way to go. I'm not being critical here of anybody, by the way. I'm just telling you what the principles are. But these things are emotionally charged, and you have to handle them. Remember to protect the rights of people to demonstrate, but demonstration doesn't mean the right to riot.
So how could this have played out differently today, Danny? What do you think should happen? I was looking at some of the numbers that our researchers came up with today. This, of course, all went around the idea that this statue was going to be taken down of Robert E. Lee, and there are over 700 statues and monuments, Confederate statues and monuments in the United States. So chances are we may see something like this again. So moving forward, looking at maybe the next time, what can be done differently here?
Well, we learn from past events, and I think that law enforcement all around the country is probably looking at this and say, oh, my gosh, how do we do this? And the way you do it to mitigate the problem is preparation. One of the things that we do in our business is that we ensure that we are protected from vehicular assault. You block off roads. You give them a permit to demonstrate in an area where you have no vehicle traffic because you cut it all off. And at least better than I do, that this is becoming the weapon de jour around the world now. Use vehicles to attack large groups of individuals. So you look at that. You, again, get back to the idea that you can't have a club here. You have a right to demonstrate, but not to bring your baseball bat with you.
Got to leave it there. Danny Colson, former Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, Eric.
Laura, while the violence erupted on the streets of Charlottesville, the concerns about North Korea have not receded this Saturday. President Trump and China's President Xi Jinping talked last night in an effort to deal with the heightened tensions and North Korea's continued threat to launch those missiles toward Guam. The president also talking to Guam's governor to reassure him, the leader of the U.S. territory that's under the cloud of that missile threat. Governor Eddie Calvo telling the president that he feels safe with him in charge.
As the governor of Guam, representing the people of Guam, and as an American citizen, I have never felt more safe or so confident with you at the helm.
And for the latest, we go to Reimagine Us, who's live in Happeningwatch, Guam. It's on the western side of the island, kind of facing toward North Korea, where it's now, like 7.
And did you see any of the rally that happened today?
Unfortunately, I didn't. I was the alt-right had pretty much left by the time I was around. It was mostly me kind of just hanging out with the counter-protesters and walking around here and there.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us.
Have a good day. Yeah, stay safe.
You too. Thank you. We were just talking to Tim Novacek. He's a resident of Charlottesville, Virginia. He said he was part of he was kind of on the outskirts of the counter-protest demonstration that was walking up 4th Street, where we are now, as the car attack happened. He said he was about 15 feet away, took some film photographs, so he's going to be waiting about a week for those to develop, even as we've seen stuff populate on social media. So to recap what happened, so after this morning, there was a right-wing extremist rally this morning called Unite the Right, whose goal was to bring together a bunch of extremist factions on the right wing, like the KKK. Several alt-right personalities were slated to speak. I saw several different white supremacist groups like Identity Europa and a lot of flags with Odinist symbols, which is kind of like a European heritage argument for white supremacy, like the purity of European blood and the white race. So we saw a lot of those. Richard Spencer, the noted alt-right white nationalist, was slated to speak. He did not. There are rumors that he's been arrested. I think found that those are unconfirmed at this point and kind of have been debunked. Lots of avowed Nazis. We saw someone holding a banner that said National Socialist Movement and the number 1488, which is a Nazi symbol. Can go into that later. But anyway, so
just to, sorry to cut you off, Blake.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, please feel free to write your questions in the comments section, and I'll read them off to Blake, and Blake can do his best to answer them, okay?
So during this rally was met with, has been hyped for months and has been the subject of massive debate online so far, and was met with a strong coalition, a strong negative response from radical leftists who identify as anti-fascist or anarchist, as well as lots of kind of more left-leaning clergy members, which is something I've never seen at one of these rallies before, and lots of regular people from Charlottesville who felt that this was an invasion of their home, and so that rally quickly descended into violence, and police very rapidly declared it an unlawful assembly and pushed people out of the park. So counter demonstrators took on a march themselves, were marching along 4th Street, had surrounded I believe at this point we've confirmed that it's a Dodge car, kind of matte gray, had surrounded this car, and the driver backed up and then hit the accelerator as hard as he could and raced into the crowd, injuring, from what we've heard from hospital officials, 19 people and killing 1.
People are asking, are there any reports of the driver who was arrested? People are wondering who this driver was.
So we don't have word on who the driver is. We do have confirmation from police at Charlottesville Police Department that he has been arrested. He is in custody at this point. What they're charging him with is unclear, whether it's going to be vehicular manslaughter, which is kind of a charge that carries with it an absence of intent, or with murder. I don't know if vehicular murder is a charge. I feel like not. Rather just plain murder.
And you want to just maybe walk us through where we are and what happened?
We're at the intersection of 4th and Market. It's a busy foot traffic area for Charlottesville. There are tons of merchants and shops. And counter-protesters kind of on the left side were walking up 4th Street. And now you can see the police have entirely cordoned off the area with
You can still see the vehicles that are there.
But you can see far into the distance, and Andrew zooming the 2 cars that the attacker hit. There were 2 people in the gold car based on a video that I saw when the attack happened, and I'm not sure who was in the larger car, the minivan. Again, one reported dead and 19 injured, according to local hospital officials. Yeah.
So what's the mood like here right now?
So right now where we are, it's rather subdued. Earlier today when right after the attack, it was bordering on hysteria of people trying to figure out what happened, how many people had been injured, where their friends were. There were a lot of people that we saw kind of racing around saying, have you seen this person or that person or X person? And people carrying victims. It took a bit of time to collect all the victims. We saw several ambulances come and go several times, and people were kind of creating community efforts to carry these people closer to the ambulances where they've been picked up. And one interesting thing we saw was that police were trying to clear the area and make it less hectic, and several of the left-wing demonstrators were saying, we don't believe in the system, but we do want these people to be able to help these injured people. It kind of reflects the anti-police sentiment that's very common on the farther left, in these sort of demonstrations. What was also surprising is that we saw police take strong action against the right-wing protesters today, and the right-wing protesters physically resist. What we typically see at these kind of rallies is the right-wing will comply with police direction in order to claim moral authority afterward and say, well, the other side was the violent ones. And today, by fighting police, that claim doesn't hold as much water, it seems.
Someone keeps commenting that it was a black female driver. That is incorrect.
Yeah, that's
incorrect.
It is a man.
It is a man. A man has been taken into custody.
Yeah. there were 2 black women in one of the cars that was hit, according to a video that I saw, a mother and a daughter. But no, the attacker was a man driving the Dodge Charger who like killed a person. Yeah, and so mood in Charlottesville at this point. Oh God, this is so heavy. Sorry, I've been wearing a backpack full of like riot gear all day. My shoulders are killing me. So mood in Charlottesville right now, the protests include street gatherings. Any noise kind of makes me jumpy at this point. The protests and street gatherings have like largely died down. We're not seeing a lot of demonstrators, whether it's the kind of, we're not seeing as many like Nazis march through the streets, and we're not seeing any leftists at this point. And so people seem to be like leaving, like going home to regroup. We heard there's a community debriefing in a park. That's likely, that was tweeted by a left-winger, so that contingent is kind of coming together and going to talk about what happened. I imagine there'll be some feelings, and they'll, yeah, kind of like talk about what happened, and it's unclear what action will come from that. It's also unclear if like things are going to keep happening. No one we've talked to today has said that they have plans later on. No like right-wing groups have issued calls on the internet saying like we're going to meet at this time at this place, like to keep doing this. And left-wing groups have said the same, although it is likely that like if the far right, extremist right, like gathers in some place, the left will gather to oppose them. Yeah, but right now things like, calm is like the wrong word, kind of just like tensely quiet. People are not in the streets, are probably like, I don't know, helping their friends at the hospital, or we've seen right-wingers drive away. There's some right-wingers who are like hanging out over here. It might be a Blue Lives Matter shirt, I'm not sure. The guys in the most of the people who are in any kind of uniform today, most of the people who have been in uniform today have been kind of on the right, with the exception of like so-called anti-fascist activists dressing in black bloc, which is a full black uniform used by these leftists to conceal their identities from police when they're taking part in activity that they do not deem to be wrong, but is technically illegal, like property damage, fighting right-wingers and Nazis and things.
Just a question, Blake, about the police today. Were you surprised at all by the response of the police, the lack of response when we first arrived? It was supposed to start at noon, but we arrived around 10:30 and things were already going off.
Yeah, so there was shit going down as soon as we got there. Like, we were kind of late at some point, truthfully. We got there and there was already violence going on. People were punching each other, and kind of in response to that, more quickly than I've seen at other rallies, police declared an unlawful assembly and forced people out of the park area, and then also did their best, it seems, to secure kind of the surrounding streets, obviously with the exception of 4th Street, which is where the car attack happened. But the area around Lee Park was quickly deemed like a no-go zone, and both the extremist right and the left and like the counter-protesters were forced out of those areas.
Should we see if maybe if there's anyone that's local here, we can ask them some questions. But for the most part, there's really not that many people walking around.
I mean, I don't.
There's some press here.
Yeah, lots of media. I kind of doubt Charlotte. Like, I kind of doubt that Charlottesville people really want to hang out in this area. This area, like where this attack happened, it can't be like a happy place. Several Charlottesville natives have said about the day that like this type of thing doesn't represent them, whether they're like right-wingers or left-wingers. Police are examining one of the vehicles that was hit for some sort of evidence.
Ooh, am I in your way? Sorry. Either way, my life.
If you want, yeah. Unless you want to talk to these guys over here. I know.
Like very few people on the right said, "Oh, should we talk about the difference between who was here?"
Yeah, let's do that.
So, so today's right-wing rally, planned for like many months, was like an avowedly white nationalist rally, which is a little bit different from. It kind of speaks to these tensions and fractures that the alt-right is undergoing at the moment. There's a lot of people who are trying to distance themselves.
This woman was the one who was telling us to move back. She was at the scene right after the attack happened.
Right. Do you want to go?
You want to try?
Yeah.
You want to go maybe talk to her off camera?
Yeah, I feel like there's going to be a strong...
So I'll just stay right here. Sorry guys, Blake is going to talk to some of the medics that were on scene right afterwards, although I don't think she's going to be game to talk to us just because she had told us to move away.
As I suspected, there's a strong, emphatic no from the medics who are here today. We're mostly operating on the left wing side. We saw one woman who just passed us by, was also at the scene of the attack, was kind of helping people out with moving people, telling us to move away because like people didn't want to be filmed. You know, these things that happen in grisly situations.
So, Blake, was there anyone that was not present from the far right or alt-right movements? It seems as though there was many groups represented here today, but were there any groups that were not here today that you might have known?
Yeah, so some people who distinguish themselves as the alt-right, which is, if you can think about it as like alt-right, but without the strong white nationalist elements, they kind of just want to be like trolls and advocate for free speech and kind of like free speech being freedom to say literally whatever, including hate speech. Yeah, kind of like harp on different minority and marginalized groups. Those people, kind of like one Mike Cernovich, I've done some reporting on named Kyle Chapman, aka Base Stickman. He kind of like fashions himself as an alt-right superhero. I guess alt-right is the more correct way to phrase it. Yeah, so people who have kind of distanced themselves from the more overtly white nationalist elements of the alt-right, but what we did see, like people who were included who are not typically, is kind of like much more old school, like KKK, like the traditionalist Workers' Party of the South of America. They are a southern KKK group that was formed like probably like somewhere in the early 1900s, if my recollection is correct, in order to keep like immigrants and people of color out of jobs that they said were like specifically for whites. And so to kind of keep those minorities like economically oppressed in that way. Those people are typically not in with the alt-right. They're not super online savvy. They feel energized by Donald Trump, but they're not quite so like fanatically devoted to him as many on the alt-right. There were, however, like Richard Spencer was here, kind of noted, kind of like white nationalist spokesperson of the alt-right, credited with coining the term. We saw Baked Alaska, who's largely a social media personality. He was what looked like extremely pepper sprayed. His entire face was red. He was crying, kind of yelling for a medic. And it seems he was pepper sprayed and like he was slated to speak and did not have the chance to after the right was forced out of the park. It's unclear if he would have regardless, because he got severely pepper sprayed.
See if we can maybe talk to some of these guys. Just get more.
I can't tell if they're media.
Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, guys. We'd love to speak with more people at this point, but to be honest, most people that are in this area seem to be media.
Are you seeing any questions that we should answer?
Besides, are there still marches? Are Catch 123 Catch? Are there still marches?
So not from what I'm seeing. Kind of like I see behind Andrew. I see like a pretty large phalanx of military police kind of lining up. Not lining up, but moving. We've seen these people actually about an hour ago, I would guess. They seem to be gathering together to like debrief and leave.
Although it looks like they are marching somewhere.
They're going somewhere, but they kind of like seem to go everywhere in a really orderly manner, and so it looks like they're heading somewhere to do something, but that might not be the case. We've seen tons of law enforcement bust in for this event. The potential, it was clear that like the mayor of Charlottesville, the governor of Virginia actually declared a state of emergency in this city.
Yeah, this someone's singing right now.
And it's like not a good song. I wouldn't call it.
I don't know if it's a song. We're gonna walk up to where we just saw what looked like military police.
So,
how's it going, man?
What are you videotaping? So I say hi.
We're live streaming right now on BuzzFeed News. Do you guys mind if we ask some questions?
I personally don't want to be on the news. But what about you guys?
We're live streaming on Periscope right now with BuzzFeed News. We've been here all day, so if we could talk to some of you guys.
Were you with what?
BuzzFeed News.
Oh, you're with BuzzFeed?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'd love
What's
to
up?
talk with
I'm from the New York office.
Hold on.
You take these out of the shot.
No. I want both of them.
Give me a second. You're going to do it. I might as well. I'm drunk.
One of my coworkers suggested that I come to this rally in drag, so like, we're all for whimsy.
Tonight.
I would love to be on fucking BuzzFeed.
For sure. What is your... What have you been up to today?
We're live.
Nationalist rally and this car attack.
Wait, am I on? Yeah.
We're live.
Okay, so I just moved to Virginia from Canada 3 days ago.
Oh my God.
And this is my first sort of experience with Charlottesville in a very long time. I grew up here, and this is one of the most fucked up things I've ever seen in my life, and I can't get over how, death, destruction, the insanity of it all, and it's heartbreaking to see.
And were you participating in the counter demonstrations?
No, not at all. I've just been kind of standing on the sidelines of it, and I've just...
And do you have an idea of what like the local response has been like, kind of like native?
The local native response has basically been a big "go fuck yourself" to all of these people from Florida and Georgia and wherever they're coming from to participate in this. And I'm honestly just glad to be here to see all of it. It's horrific. This shouldn't be happening, and it's absolutely heartbreaking. This is Trump's America.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. And how about you?
I grew up here. This is a nightmare. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your name?
I'm Anna. Hi.
So wait, do I get to click on this after a while?
That should be interesting. Yeah.
You can watch on BuzzFeed News' Twitter.
My sister and I live in the area. I had a headache this morning, so I was on the front lines. She was. So I've been providing the getaway car and trying to bail people out whenever possible. And I think
on the kind of counter demonstrator side.
Yeah. And I definitely feel that there are a lot of people that are looking for a fight on both sides. And they're looking for a fight on both sides. There's a lot of pent up material here. I think that, especially with everything that the statue symbolizes and the disenfranchisement that's happened, and watching black neighborhoods get destroyed, there is so much hurt, and keeping that thing is just salt in the wound.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit about like things you see that are examples of this like underlying tension in Charlottesville that you're talking about?
Hi, everyone, please, can we please, everyone, there's two folks in this corner that want our attention. I'll just give them 3 seconds of attention that they really need. Thank you. Have a great day, guys. We're going to continue with our program.
So we're going to do call and response, right? Right? We're going to do call and response. 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 Thank you. So, on September 9th, there is going to be a march against gentrification. Against racism. Against
protests aren't actually happening at all anymore.
Yeah.
Things have really calmed down, and a lot of people are now inside. I mean, the people that are out in the streets right now have been primarily media.
Yeah, it really, I mean, like, it looks like it's about to rain, like, people are napping, people are eating.
Yeah, everyone's carrying cameras around here.
Still...
Because this is where everything happened earlier today.
Yeah, so we're coming upon, like, Lee Park. This is Lee Park, right?
Yeah.
Is it?
Right?
Oh, yeah, one
right
block.
at the top.
So we're coming on Lee Park, which is where the...
And I didn't even notice the sign before.
Yeah, it's like a big sign. It was a smart... it seems like it was something that the counter-protesters set up in response to the white nationalist rally this morning. Kind of like as a sign that they couldn't steal. There was tons of flag stealing this morning. Each side, I would say more so the right-wing extremist side, hugely values these like symbolic flags. And there are tons of different kinds. There are flags that are just that are symbols for their white supremacist group. There are flags that are mixed with like the American flag mixed with the Confederate flag, the American flag mixed with the Don't Tread on Me flag. Don't Tread on Me is kind of like a common, it's like a Tea Party libertarian, very like old school kind of American independence symbol, and it's been readopted by these groups by these fundamentalist groups that kind of want to return to how the Constitution was interpreted in like 1776.
And people are now picking up garbage. This is the scene of where the biggest part of the protest was, and the biggest, most of the clashes were held right here.
There is still a heavy police presence.
Gentlemen, you can use this sidewalk. I need you to stay out of the street, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it seems like some Charlottesville residents are picking up trash. This park seems completely wrecked.
On the sidewalk, please.
Oh man, those are expensive.
Ray-Bans.
Those are expensive. Oh well, somebody will take them. Excuse me, I'm a reporter for BuzzFeed News. Is there something I can talk to you? Yeah. So you're like picking up garbage. Can you tell me like what brought you out here? Are you from Charlottesville at the time?
Yeah, we're Charlottesville residents. My friend Chase, my girlfriend Jacqueline and I, we frequent the downtown mall almost every weekend, almost during the week too.
Mm-hmm.
When you discuss this, see it like this, it's not Charlottesville. It's not Charlottesville. So we don't want the national news to see Charlottesville in this image. It's a beautiful place, so we're trying to clean it up as quick as possible.
I see. And were you part of like the counter demonstrations today, like at the scene of the attack with the car?
No, we weren't there. We came down for a little bit, saw things were getting violent, and headed out. Obviously we don't agree with the alternate right or whatever you want to call them. We're just hoping that this moves out as quickly as possible.
And can you tell me a little bit about like what the kind of Charlottesville resident response was among your circles, like to what was going on, the violence, the attack, that kind of thing?
Pretty much everyone from Charlottesville is not. This doesn't reflect the attitude of Charlottesville. Charlottesville is a very open, diverse place, everyone here, appreciates the atmosphere and the livelihood of downtown. So we were not happy that the alt-right and KKK and everyone else is coming back again.
Yeah, again?
Well, there's a KKK rally here shortly.
Oh yeah, the kind of like torch march like they did last night. Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a few Charlottesville residents are picking up garbage. It seems like in an effort to correct. They're talking about how much one resident we talked to is talking about how much he does not identify with the things that went on today, like the violence, the hate groups who are here, that they represent like racist ideology. So in his words, he's trying to make sure that this goes away as quickly as possible, although police are not letting like anyone into the park at the moment. And the park is where like the majority of like the violence, the confrontations with the police were taking place, and confrontations between the left and right. If you look at the ground, you'll see like splatters, colorful splatters. People were throwing people were throwing water balloons filled with paint at one another. Reportedly piss. And there was a lot of pepper spray and tear gas today. Yeah, and the street like definitely reflects it. It's a mess.
Especially up on the steps.
Yeah, oof. Lots of purple.
And Bellamy? Bellamy is a jackass is written up there.
Wes Bellamy is the vice mayor of Charlottesville. He is black. He's a controversial figure. One resident we talked to said Bellamy has expressed, like, what's the word for it? I guess like he said, I don't trust something along the lines of like I don't trust whiteys. Kind of expressing like a black distrust of white people for the injustices that they've carried out and for racism in response.
Well, guys, I think we might be wrapping things up here, unless any of you guys have any questions.
So to recap what happened today, there was a white nationalist rally scheduled that had been scheduled and hyped for months going on in Robert E. Lee Park to protest the removal of a statue of General Robert E. Lee from the Civil War. That rally was met with strong resistance, a strong negative response from a coalition of religious leaders, radical leftists identifying as anti-fascists, and Charlottesville residents, it seems, who did not want these people to come, and just regular left-wingers who came in from all over the place, it seems. After violence broke out and both sides were going at each other, police declared it an unlawful assembly and quickly forced both sides out of Robert E. Lee Park. What we saw that we have not seen in the past at these kind of rallies is that the right physically oppose the police. It's not typical. And so after that, both sides kind of took to the streets, although police were trying to chase them out. We saw some pretty grisly confrontations, and the most grisly of which was obviously the one that you've all heard about, on 4th Street near the mall, where there was a crowd of counter-protesters in opposition to the white nationalist rally that was going on who were hit by a sedan. I believe it was a Dodge, gray Dodge. One person is dead, 19 people were injured. Police have said that 15 people were injured in the white nationalist rally in the ensuing scuffle. Excuse me. And police have now captured and detained the attacker who killed someone. No word yet on what his charges are. Yeah, and I think that's where we are now. Things have largely died down in the streets. Not a lot of demonstrations going on. Police are still cordoning off the site of the rally and the site of the attack with the car, not allowing people to go closer. It seems they're conducting an investigation of the car attack. We saw several policemen examining the vehicles of what was going on.
Is there a curfew, people are asking?
I have not heard of one. Yeah, it's unclear. It seems very possible to me that things could kind of blow up under cover of darkness. There was a torch lit. There was a march by the KKK last night holding tiki torches to UVA, to another statue of a Confederate figure, and kind of what amounted to a hate group photo op. Lots of young white men holding torches and kind of seeming menacing and intimidating. And so that happened last night. It's possible that the right is the extremist right is regrouping and will do something like that again tonight. It's possible that left-wingers, radical leftists, I doubt that religious leaders are scheduling a violent attack on somebody. But it's possible that radical left-wingers are also planning something for the evening. We have not heard what is going on.
And just to make a note that if any of you guys do see anything, I saw one of you commented that something is happening at a hotel now. If you do say things like that, if you have links to this that's happening, yeah, instead of just saying things,
evidence is the key.
Yeah, we'll head to wherever things are going down. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you guys do see reports, we have been hearing about this police helicopter.
Yeah, there's an unrelated helicopter crash where it's unclear what happened there.
Hotel thing is on Twitter. Okay, if you guys know the name of the hotel and where it is, we'll head over there.
So I believe it's the Brentwood Resort. It starts with a B. Brentwood is probably wrong. But it's a resort, a golf course, where the helicopter is.
Oh,
crashed,
that's what they're talking about.
according to one resident we talked to who showed us some tweets that people had seen it. I mean, we don't have any word on whether it's related to like this, all the things that have gone on today. I mean, there have been police helicopters circling all day, but whether it was like shot down or whether it crashed out of kind of pilot error or something like that, or a helicopter malfunction, something that would not tie it to the violence that happened today, is unclear. It is unconfirmed. So we will probably go over there and try and find out.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Blake Montgomery. This is Andrew Kimmel behind the camera.
Hey, everyone.
And
I don't know when we are going to get a statement from the
and
police. It looks like they're still organizing. And again, they have more new units moving around.
That could just be. That's from my friends. My friends are only so reliable. But still.
Looks like that's a medical unit. State police unit coming out now. No, a helicopter did crash in this area. They've confirmed that it was a state helicopter, probably a state police helicopter. Right now I think they're just trying to get things under control because it's obviously been such a crazy day here in Charlottesville. Somebody already killed, and it'd be terrible to hear if there was another fatality with this crash, but again, I don't know anything about information about people who were hurt or anything like that. And again, I heard those people talking over there. They said there have been some shootings in the area, drive-by shootings in the area, but again, I can't confirm that at all. I haven't seen that on media, but it's a crazy day. Looks like they're going to try to talk down here. Hard to tell. Things are moving pretty slow now that they've got the fire trucks and stuff moved away, so I'll just stay with you as long as I can. Again, I know nothing about the crash. I assume it was an accident, but there's no way I can confirm that for you until we get a statement from the police. I believe there have been unrelated shootings in the Albemarle County area, the area right around Charlottesville, this afternoon. And we have the local media here. I think this is just local media. The national media was all downtown this afternoon. CNN, Fox News. I saw them all down there, so. The helicopter is in these woods right back here. It's obscured by trees right now, but there was fire earlier, obviously. But we were just joining. A helicopter crashed probably 35 or 40 minutes ago here, close to the city of Charlottesville. We are just outside the city of Charlottesville, and they do believe that it's a state police helicopter. That's what I've been told. And this was probably the same helicopter that was above the city during the protests this morning and afternoon. I have not seen any information. I've not heard any information about injuries or fatalities from this crash. I do know that one person was killed earlier in the day from the violence in downtown Charlottesville. And again, I have no info on the crew of the helicopter. Their situation, I assume they have been taken to the UVA hospital, which is just a couple miles away. And the UVA hospital is renowned for some of the best medical care in the region, in the state. So I am sure that if anybody is injured, you're good, go ahead. I'm sure that if anybody is injured, they have the best care in the area for them. And again, the ambulances left very quickly. They were leaving right as I arrived about 20 minutes ago. The fire trucks left shortly after that. So they got the situation under control very quickly, which is good news. And we have a thunderstorm coming on top of all this. I did not see the smoke. I think they put out the fire just as I was driving up, so I was never close enough to see any of that. And again, this was probably the same helicopter that was flying above Charlottesville, downtown Charlottesville, this whole day, making sure that the protest stayed safe, which unfortunately they did not. Somebody has died as a result of the protests downtown, and again, I don't know anything about the condition of the crew of this helicopter at the moment. You guys have any information on the crew or anything like that?
No word on injuries, fatalities. Just that they've just confirmed that it was their cop.
It was state police?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I got.
I assume they took him to UVA hospital?
I have no idea. That would be my
Okay.
assumption too, but I mean, also UVA could be pretty crowded today, so they could backlog for Martha Jefferson. But,
Okay.
yeah, who knows?
Makes sense.
Who are you here with?
Independent.
Okay.
I'm doing Periscope right now.
Gotcha.
So again, for those of you just joining, helicopter crashed about 40 minutes ago, just outside the city of Charlottesville. It was a state police helicopter. They've confirmed it was a state police helicopter, and it crashed in these woods. We have no word on injuries or fatalities from this crash. So the police are here securing the perimeter at the moment, talking to the locals, I believe, making sure that everyone is safe. Again, the ambulances and fire trucks left several minutes ago, probably about 15 minutes ago. They left, and I unfortunately don't have any other information. We're waiting on a statement from the state police to give us more information. We're expecting that soon. But we don't know what kind of progress they're making. Again, the helicopter crash happened right back here in these woods. It's just behind this tree line. And there was...
Is there any lead-in that I could have to the...
Again, we have other media here. CNN, Fox News, they were all downtown for the protest this morning and afternoon. This is the same helicopter that was flying above the protest this morning, and again, I have no reason on why it would crash, but I do believe it is unfortunately the same helicopter with the state police that were doing their best to protect the people here. There is no information on the cause. I seriously doubt that it was shot down. I've seen that comment several times. But we do not have a reason. The police have not given us a reason for the crash yet. Looks like the state police are going to try to stage down here, but they haven't given us any additional information at the moment. And look at that. Here comes a thunderstorm, as if Charlottesville needed anything else to happen today. Ha! Look at that. Thunderstorm coming in, and the helicopter crashes back in those woods. Police are turning people around. Obviously, they don't want people driving into this. Are you guys locals here?
Yeah, right up here.
Really? Did you see or hear the crash?
Just heard.
Just heard it? Yeah.
Yeah, these people saw it. People on the other side of this house saw it.
Okay. Did they know why? Did they notice anything unusual?
Said it started spinning out of control and then flipped upside down, fell like a rock.
Really? It's so unusual.
I sure wish I knew what kind of. You don't know what kind of plane it was. I mean, copter.
They said it was a state police helicopter.
Oh, no wonder there's so much response.
Yeah, and I mean they were flying it over Charlottesville earlier today for the protests and stuff, obviously. So
it was a state police. Well,
it was.
That's
yeah.
why. It's,
yeah, right.
Okay, I was wondering why there was such a response here.
Yeah, somebody put out a tweet like 20 minutes ago, so that's why we have all the people coming in to look at it. So.
Well, it couldn't have been survived.
Really? Was there like a fireball?
Yeah.
Did you see all of that?
He has pictures of it up there, but he doesn't want them.
Really?
He doesn't want to let them go.
Yeah, of course.
Out of respect to the homeowner.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it was just a fireball. That's all that was left.
Okay.
Debris scattered all over the yard. It's only 20 feet in front of their house.
Really? It missed the house by 20 feet?
Road, yeah.
Wow,
right
okay.
in the front yard.
Well, thank goodness they're okay.
Yeah, isn't that the truth?
Yeah, that's really insane. So what would cause this? Just fluke? Maybe changing the weather? It's about to storm, but
hopefully we'll find out.
Yeah, hopefully. All right, thank you. So what I learned from those guys just now, they said a couple of their neighbors saw the helicopter crash, that it was spinning out of control, and then turned upside down and dropped like a stone into the ground. That was their words. It dropped like a stone upside down. So they did say that there was a large fireball. There was a large fireball, and the homeowner here says that it probably wasn't survivable. So that's not good news to hear. But again, we haven't heard any information about the state of the crew or anything like that. And he said that the helicopter fell about 20 feet from somebody's house. It missed the house by about 20 feet, so I assuming it's this house right up here. You can kind of see it through the woods there, the white house back there. It landed 20 feet from that house. Must be in the backyard there, but that is insane. They said it blew up into a huge fireball, and that it probably couldn't have been survived by anybody. Some sort of commotion up there. Not sure what that is. It looks like they're getting ready to do the briefing here, so I will let you know when they are about to give the briefing. Now there's some police coming down, holding each other's arms. I'm going to try to zoom in for you guys to see that. Can't tell if he's injured or just sad or something else. Yeah, they're all behind this tree now. I'll try to get closer for you. And again, I just talked to some homeowners who said that they witnessed their neighbors witnessed the helicopter crash. They said it started spinning out of control and then flipped upside down and fell to the ground like a rock. And it crashed about 20 feet from the house up there on that hill. So it missed the house by only 20 feet. It must have fallen upside down, is what they said, and then exploded into a big fireball. I don't think I'm going to get a good view from here, so I'm going to go back up to where I was. And there's a bit of a crowd here, but none of us have actually seen the helicopter or the debris. So again, the crash happened right up on that hill. We are waiting for the briefing. Does anybody have the time? I can't view the time on my phone while I'm broadcasting, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. $440. Thank you. 404. Okay, 604. Thank you. That sounds more about right. All right. Hopefully this briefing comes soon. I do know that the city of Charlottesville is doing a briefing shortly about the events that happened downtown today. And again, those are, I think they are unrelated to what happened here, but this was the same state police helicopter that was flying above those protests. Obviously the state police were trying to keep control on the situation. Unfortunately, one person did die in the incidents downtown this afternoon. That's very sad to hear. And I have no word on this helicopter crash how many people have died, but I did talk to a local who said that they witnessed the crash, or that their neighbors witnessed the crash, and that it appeared to be unsurvivable because the helicopter started spinning out of control and then turned upside down and fell to the ground like a rock. Those were their words. So hope and pray for the best. But it's not a good situation here in Charlottesville, very unfortunately. Again, we have a crowd here, pretty good crowd of onlookers and media. It's about half and half. It's a lot of local media. We have the local CBS station, local NBC, ABC. They're all here covering the situation. Is it now 2 dead? Oh my goodness. I did not see that, so that must have happened in the last 20 minutes or so. So 2 dead from the protests this afternoon in Charlottesville. If somebody can tweet that at me or something like that, that'd be helpful. Well, it's raining, but it seems like the storm is holding off for now. And again, we wouldn't exactly want a storm with all this going on. That wouldn't be great. There are, I don't know if you guys can see this, there are 2 police officers sitting back there. And they don't look very good. I don't want to invade their privacy, so I'm just going to leave it at that. But I would say that it's not a good look for the victims of this crash. It's very unfortunate. Is it 2 dead from the helicopter? Can somebody confirm that for me? 2 dead from the helicopter? I'm going to broadcast as long as I can. But I may not be able to continue for much longer due to my battery life, and I do apologize for that if I cut off. From the protests, not from the helicopter crash. Okay, so I'm getting very mixed reports about 2 dead from helicopter. Okay, I'm getting very mixed reports, so I'm not going to confirm anything to you guys. I am unsure. Oh, looks like they're about to do a briefing, so I'm going to head on down there.
Do you think it makes sense?
All right. I'll try to get you guys close enough so you can hear this briefing, but if you can't hear it because there's a big crowd here, I will summarize for you at the end.
Relax.
Oh, come on, guys. Come on, all right? It's been a long day for everybody. It's not over yet. All right, you guys ready? All right, Corinne Geller, CORINNEGELLER, Virginia State Police spokesperson. At 4:54 Saturday afternoon, Virginia State Police were notified of a helicopter crash in Albemarle County. Albemarle County Police and Fire responded first, and they located the wreckage of a helicopter in the woods near a residence off of Old Farm Road, the very end of the roadway. It was fully engulfed, and at this time we do have 2 confirmed fatalities. State law in Virginia says that the Virginia State Police have to investigate all aircraft crashes, so that is why we responded to the scene. At this time we have State Police, as well as Albemarle County Police are assisting us, and Albemarle County Fire at the scene, and the cause of the crash is still under investigation at this time. We're not identifying the 2 individuals at this point, nor are we identifying the owners of the helicopter, as the investigation remains ongoing. Fortunately, that's all. We will be notifying the NTSB as well as the FAA, which is standard procedure when it comes to any kind of aircraft crash. At this point, that's all I can give you guys. I know it's not much, but
was it a private helicopter?
We're not counting it. That's all I got, guys. Sorry.
All right, guys. So that's the information you're going to get. I don't know how much you guys heard, so I'll go ahead and summarize it for you. They said that a helicopter crashed here at about 5:54 p.m., I believe is what they said. Don't quote me on that number. But they said that when they arrived, the helicopter was engulfed in flames, and there are 2 confirmed fatalities from the helicopter crash. And they did not specify if it was a state police or a private helicopter. They said they are not going to comment on that at the moment. Let's see, what else did they say? There's a private there's not a private, they are currently investigating the cause of the crash, so they did not give a reason on the cause of the crash. Very unfortunate situation for the city of Charlottesville today. I believe that's 3 total deaths today in the city of Charlottesville. So, very, very sad day. Again, the helicopter crashed at the end of this driveway. There are 2 confirmed fatalities from the helicopter crash. They said when they arrived on the scene that the helicopter was engulfed in flames. And eyewitness report from a neighbor said that they saw the helicopter spinning out of control and then turn upside down and plummet to the ground like a rock. And those are their exact words. So, very unfortunate situation. I'm going to go ahead and cut off this broadcast here. I don't think there's any more information I can give you guys. Stay tuned to the local. I can suggest that you follow CBS 19, NBC 29, Newsplex. Those are all local media outlets that you can get more information from. And of course, AP News, CNN, Fox News, they've all been here all day covering this information. So I'm sure there will be more shortly available for you. So thank you guys for watching.
came to our town today in a way that we had feared, but we had never really let ourselves imagine we would. I wanted to start today by thanking the Virginia State Police and our law enforcement officers and all the first responders who are here in Charlottesville today to protect our community. The Charlottesville Police Department and our state partners, the Virginia State Police, were on the scene in our community very early this morning, anticipating large crowds. Our law enforcement was on hand before 10 o'clock this morning, actually began around 6 o'clock this morning. And unfortunately, as we went through this day, we had folks who came here to cause mayhem and chaos and mischief. And it resulted in three fatalities here in the city of Charlottesville. In the days and the weeks to come, our city will have many conversations in City Hall, in community centers, in our houses of worship, over our fences, and at our dinner tables. I would ask that, in addition to sharing our grief and looking back at this difficult and extraordinary summer, that we look forward. I would ask that we would consider the question of who we are as a city and who we wish to be. I would ask that we each seek opportunities to seek people who share our home here in Charlottesville, but who are outside of our circles. I would ask that we work to build meaningful relationships and foster strong connections. City Hall will be working with the community to rebuild our structures and repair damages. We will also work to provide opportunities for our community to come together to mourn, connect, and move forward. But City Hall cannot build the bonds between neighbors or create new friendships. I'm calling on each one of our residents, not only here in the city of Charlottesville, but in the Charlottesville area, to come together and take all of this into our hearts and our daily lives today, and to begin healing as a community. If we all come together, we cannot fall apart. We will be with you, and we will be beside you, as together we write the next chapter in Charlottesville's history. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Chief Al Thomas, Charlottesville Police Department. Good evening. The premeditated violence that our community experienced today was completely unacceptable. The situation escalated rapidly into violence, and we had no choice but to deploy additional personnel from the Virginia State Police, the Virginia National Guard, to help disperse the crowd and move people safely through the streets. None of the injuries sustained today were due to engagement with law enforcement. As of late this afternoon, there have been at least 35 people treated for injuries by city personnel. 14 people have been treated for injuries resulting from individual engagements. 9 pedestrians were treated for injuries in a 3-vehicle crash at the intersection of 4th Street and Water Street here in downtown Charlottesville. Their injuries range from life-threatening to minor. The crash also claimed the life of a 32-year-old female pedestrian at the intersection as she was crossing the street. We are still in the process of notifying her next of kin, so we will not be releasing her information until that takes place as a courtesy to the family. The suspect vehicle that left the scene of the crash was located moments later, and the male driver is in custody with charges pending. We are currently treating this as a criminal homicide investigation. I also want to extend my appreciation to the many individuals who witnessed the crash for helping us by providing statements, photos, and video evidence. Again, the crash remains under investigation. So where do we go from here? For right now, we're encouraging people to return home. Please let our city of Charlottesville, our home, start to recover from this. What the world saw today is not the place Charlottesville is. We love our city. Let us heal. This is not our story. Outsiders do not tell our story. We will tell our own story. As is commonplace, we will be reviewing the events of the day over the next weeks and months. We are committed to providing our residents with a strong, safe city to live in and being partners in our community. Thank you.
Wait, those killed, they were killed after the alt-right had mostly disbanded from the park and their leaders told them to leave. Does the city bear some responsibility?
That concludes the press conference. Thank you.